Should venomous snakes and lizards be illegal, and is it possible to give a yes or no answer? Today, I'm going to give you a yes or no answer. My name's Adam, this is Diamond, you're watching Wicked's Wicked Reptiles, stick around. As promised, I'm going to finish this with a yes or no answer. Should venomous reptiles be illegal? I'll give you a yes or no answer, but let me explain why I think that, because there's a lot of people who have very strong opinions on both sides, and if you're in the middle, I'd like you to know why I choose the yes or the no. Okay, let's just get into it. The reason it's not so simple is because when you have a venomous snake or a venomous lizard, you're not just risking your own life and your own health and your own safety, but you're risking the health and safety of everybody else around you. Anybody who lives in your house, if you live in an apartment, anyone whose duct is connected to yours. So it's not as simple as, well, I am the one who takes the risk, so therefore I am the one who gets to decide. You are taking the risk with other people. So let's make an argument, right? Because a lot of people are gonna say if you make them illegal, what's next? If you give them an inch, they're gonna take a mile. And I kind of agree with that for a lot of things. So what if we did this instead? What if instead of just, it's not the wild, wild west, and you can't just get whatever you want, but instead you have to have a permit. And to get that permit, you have to have some sort of training, right? A certificate, even if it's only an online test, even if it only costs $25 and you only have to renew it every 5 years. Let's suppose that that's the case. And the reason that I picked this is because I think if you gave a test, even if it was written, or, if you wanted to make it interactive on Zoom, you have to go somewhere, wherever, but you want to keep these reptiles still accessible. So online test, let's use that as the example. If you make a little bit of a barrier, very easy to scale, you're going to weed out all the people who aren't serious about keeping reptiles. If you have to, by law, and there is a penalty, whether it is, $50 or $500 or $1,000 for breaking the law on this, then you're going to weed out all the people who just want a rattlesnake for the sake of having one, and it's going to be really cool, because those are the people who are going to be the least responsible anyway. And what's going to be on the test? Well, just very basic things. Maybe there should be laws of how to lock them up to make sure that you have the proper enclosure that is locked correctly. And I'm going to use this as an example, and it might be controversial, but Canadian gun laws. Here in Canada, if you want to own a firearm, you have to go to a school, not a school, but you have to go somewhere to be trained. It's a 2-day training. It is not super cheap like I'm suggesting here, and you have to lock up your Even Diamond's trying to get away from the conversation. I'll finish it. And you have to lock up your firearms in a locked box. And there's two different bullets called non-restricted. Let's not get too much into gun laws here. And that is the reason that, although in Canada we've got over 2 million people who have guns legally, never mind all the illegal ones, we don't have a lot of gun violence. Because if you don't have something locked up correctly, like a venomous snake, then you get it taken away from you, and in this case, you go to jail. So I'm not suggesting you should go to jail if you're breaking venomous snake laws, but if there is a penalty, you are more likely to actually do it correctly. So what is this nonsensical story? How am I going to make this make sense? Basically, if you have something that could kill somebody, make sure that you have it locked up correctly, and make sure that the reason that you lock it up correctly is because A, you're responsible, but even if you're not, you know that you might be paying a steep fine if you break the law. And I'll be very clear about this. This is my opinion only. This is not what you should do, what should be going on, because I understand that, well, if someone's going to watch this and they're going to make a law and take away my rights, I'm not trying to take away anyone's rights. I'm just explaining what works here for something that's could be very dangerous, and venomous snakes and lizards can be very dangerous too. So maybe that'd be it's just an option, but there are a few more things I want to talk about before I give you the yes or no. Holy cow, Diamond. Something to consider, and I touched on this at the beginning, is the risk, right? You're not just risking yourself, you're risking everyone around you. And let's suppose that you live with a roommate, or you live with your wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, or you live with kids. And I know someone personally who had a bunch of white-lip pythons, and they got rid of them when they had kids because they couldn't imagine if for whatever reason, just the most ridiculous thing could have happened, and one of them could got out, And then what happens if it bites your kid? You got a dead kid, most likely. And we're going to get into what happens, and it's not always death and anti-venom in a second, but you have to really consider that risk. So this isn't more about laws, but just a consideration, because if you're watching this video, you're obviously interested in the topic, maybe you have them, or maybe you're considering getting them, and that is just something that I think is very important. I got to stress, we'll move on from it, but you're not just risking yourself, you're risking everyone around you safety as well. He's going to jump again, isn't he? Yeah. Two more important points here. Anti-venom, okay? And this is a personal thing. I can only do this from my personal opinion because I am not trained in law, okay? In my opinion, if you have venomous snakes, you should have access immediately to anti-venom, whether you have it at your home, your facility. And by the way, this whole video is geared towards private collections, not research facilities and zoos. That's a different animal. This is, should venomous snakes be illegal in personal collections? Because if you are a private person and you have a private collection of venomous snakes and you do not have anti-venom, and the hospital that is however far away doesn't have it either, the risk of much more severe injury or death goes way up. The reason it's a lot safer at a place like Reptilia, which is our local reptile zoo in Toronto, is a little bit lower is because they have anti-venom there. So if one of the keepers gets bit by a cobra, they have anti-venom for elapids right there. So you're less likely to lose your life, and you can actually immediately do something about it. Just like if you're allergic to peanuts or bees, you always want to have an EpiPen on you rather than waiting for someone to come with epinephrine to save your life. If you just have it there, then you can save your life without having to wait. Maybe the ambulance gets stuck behind a train. You know what I mean? There's just no barrier to the medicine that will save your life. So I think anti-venom, in my personal opinion, if you have a snake that could possibly kill you, make sure that you have anti-venom or your hospital does, because the last thing you want is to get bit. Call the hospital. It's 10 minutes before they even get there. If they don't have any or it's expired, they have to airlift you to the nearest major city with a zoo who has the anti-venom, and by then, maybe you're missing the tip of your finger. And to wrap this up, because I know there's going to be a lot of negativity and thumbs down, at the end of the day, it's none of my business. It is none of my business if you keep a venomous snake or not, if it doesn't affect me. So if you are doing everything correctly, responsibly, right? Because I am very pro no laws, right? For most things. Because if you do things correctly, I think that everyone is safe. So if you have the proper enclosure, it's locked up correctly, you do everything. By the way, I'm not a venomous snake expert, but if you use a little bit of common sense and there's no risk to anybody else, I think you should be able to do whatever you want. Whatever you want. If you're the one taking the risk with your own life and there's no risk to anybody else, why is it any of my business what you're doing and what you have in your collection, as long as you're treating other life like other life and they're not being neglected? It is none of my business whatsoever what you keep. So before I wrap it up with my definitive answer, I do think maybe a permit system, in my opinion, maybe a permit system would be best, where there is a mandatory training that you have to take online and there is a test at the end, just like a driver's license, for example, right? So a little bit less strict than that. And I do think there should be a penalty if you are caught keeping something incorrectly. But I do not think there should be an outright ban. It should not be illegal for you to keep venomous snakes and lizards. That is my personal opinion. So the answer, definitively, no. I do not think that it should be illegal for venomous snakes and venomous lizards to be kept in private collections, but I do think there has to be some sort of accountability so that it's not just some random guy going to catch a copperhead, a cottonmouth, a coral snake, keeping it in its collection in an exoterra that doesn't have a lock. Some kid comes by, opens it, and gets bit. I think that there needs to be a way for that to be prevented. What do you think? Do you agree with what I said? Is there something that you think is right, but something is wrong? I took this idea out of the comment section below, which is how I get all the ideas. So if you want your idea to be a video, throw it on down there. We do 2 videos a week, Mondays and Thursdays. And the most special thank you. Thank you guys so very much for supporting the Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can see extra content. You see these videos early. There's some animals in my collection I don't really talk about on the channel yet. You can see those there. And just one last thing I want to promote as well. In the description, Amazon affiliate links. We do have a charity there. It's in the description below. Amazon Rainforest Conservancy is a fantastic organization. So 10% of everything I make off the affiliate links goes directly to them. I plugged absolutely everything now. Hit subscribe. See you on Monday.